There's not much left here in Maxville, Oregon, once a thriving railroad logging community in the backwoods of Wallowa County. Now, fading from memory, its structures succumbing to disuse and time, technology rendering the workforce and tools obsolete. I'm not too late. My grandfather and father were among the first African Americans loaded in boxcars headed west to Oregon. There was talk of labor disputes before they arrived in the newly established rural logging town of Maxville, with its company store and Oregon's first segregated school. The introduction of Southern tradition, neighboring homesteaders from West Virginia, and the Greek camp provided some of the multinational population living and working to bring up their families in the timber and railroad logging industry across the rural landscape. Nicknamed Lucky, my father was in his mid-20s when he got to Maxville. Growing up in a logging camp in Arkansas, he was no stranger to logging. The 5 to 6 feet of snow, 20 to 30 degrees below zero, would be new to him. He never told us kids about his experience. Bertie Prince's vivid memories would reveal what I could only imagine.
Yeah, the colored people had lower Maxville, towards the railroad tracks and the lower part down there, and the ponds and all.
Okay.
All that part, that was colored people town.
Okay.
But we was all just as black as they were, and they was as white as we were. Our people was taught to never mistreat nobody.
Looking back, Ada Misopoulos gives her account.
My husband made 50 cents an hour. He was the foreman, and the men made 38.5 cents an hour.
A child's journey speaks out through the voice of Esther Wilfong, Jr.
I was born in the state of Arkansas, but we moved away and we were sort of wanderers somewhat. Wanderers to the extent that my father was a logger, and payment to loggers was much better in Arizona, where we went there and stayed a short while. Then we went to Wallowa, Oregon, and my father got a job there working for the Bowman Hicks Lumber Company.
The eyes, now clouded, have not obscured the memory of Alvy Marsh, the last living African-American logger out of Maxville.
Well, my brother wanted me to cut log with him. See, you had to have a partner if you cutting logs out there. And see, he hoboed his way out there. But I caught train.
Orvala Hafer provides a wellspring of compelling imagery.
Maxville had 2 baseball teams, a white team and a black team. Wallowa had a baseball team. All the towns did. And it was a great source of entertainment for the young men in competition to be able to play baseball with the other communities, and I think it was a way for the young ladies to meet the young men in the other communities. Mr. Wilfong. He wasn't expecting me. We hadn't called, but he knew my uncle, and so he welcomed us into his home, and we sat and visited all one afternoon. And he was a very gracious man. He had been a sawyer at Maxville, had lived there and been a sawyer, and so he told us about his life. And one of the questions I asked him was what would encourage him to come to a new land and a cold land that he wasn't accustomed to. And he sat and didn't answer me for a long while, and then when he did answer me, he said that in his community there had been a hanging the previous week for no good reason of one of his friends. And he said that was reason enough to find a new area. and he lived out the rest of his life in Wallowa County and La Grande.
The inner strength of the women shines out, as Maddie Wilfong has her say.
And I had to pack my water to do my washing for my babies and for us to cook on and bathe with. I had to pack that and heat everything on the stove, water and everything, and that's when I had a miscarriage because the doctor said my body wasn't strong enough to hold the baby.
The landscape was impartial on either side of the track.
I painted the inside of my boxcar. That's what I did. Painted. I started at the front. Okay, paint, 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 all the way back. And I had an awful habit of reading when I was eating, because I was by myself. Okay.
So you painted from the bedroom?
I painted from the front part back to the kitchen, see? Well, I had cornflakes for breakfast. And I was eating away, you know, reading. And when I got down at the bottom, guess what? Can you guess what was it?
I can't even imagine. What, to the bottom of the bowl?
The bottom of the bowl. Bed bugs.
And was that a problem?
Was that a problem? Bed bugs were a terrible problem up there. I'm telling you, they just come out and bite you at night and everything.
I grew up in nearby Union County. Although La Grande was bigger, our African American cultural history was not taught in school, nor known to me. Today I live in the community of Enterprise, not far from Maxville. My living here is reshaping my perspectives and how I see the contributions African Americans made in the rural West. The landscape's changed since then, and the tracks have long been pulled up. I'm the only African American descendant now from Maxville living in Wallowa County today. Yet we share a common history. This vital local and national history is quickly moving out of memory. My journey? To listen, to preserve, and to share the knowledge from their experiences. My motives? Well, it wasn't something I planned in the beginning. It grows on you. Changed me, knowing what they experienced. I think Dad didn't tell us much because he wanted his children to stay focused on the future, not the struggle. They built a sense of community and thrived. So will I.